You've reached Conversation with Mr. A. This is your host, Anthony Apostilla. Thank you for listening. Let's get right to the episode. Welcome to another edition of Conversations with Mr. A. This is your host, Anthony Apostilla. And so for this episode, I am doing it with hotel manager Phillip Johnson. Phillip, thank you so much for being part of this episode. We're doing a phone interview.
Sounds good. I'm happy to be here.
So, Phillip, to start off with, what hotel do you currently manage and where at?
I work at the Hyatt Regency in downtown Boston. I'm the assistant director of rooms.
Okay. For our listeners, who aren't familiar, can you describe what a hotel manager is and what are your duties?
Well, sure. Well, there's plenty of different managers within a hotel. My role as the assistant director of rooms is to assist in leading the entire division of the rooms division, which is the front desk, housekeeping, guest services, be the liaison for security, and also, manage any high level issues that may come up in the hotel. I generally am a point of contact for any guests that are having major concerns. And if I'm on property during emergencies, I'm usually the point person that would direct people on where to go, what to do. It's a lot of big picture things as an assistant director, but if you are looking to go into hotel management, if you're an assistant manager, then that'd be like day-to-day operations. So there's a lot, but that's my role.
Okay. So how long have you been in the industry? When did you start, and just how long have you been doing this in general?
I started when I was 18 in Las Vegas, when I was going to college. I was working in retail, but I was going to school for hotel management at the University of Nevada, Las Vegas. And at that point in time, trying to get a hotel job on the Strip was tough because you needed experience. So I found Hyatt's was hiring. They just wanted customer service experience. So I started as a front desk agent in 2002, worked my way up. So 22 years later, I'm still with the company. I did take a little bit of a break in 2016, but all in all, I've basically been in the hotel industry for 21 years.
Wow. Was it a tough road to kind of work your way up just from where you started?
The hotel industry is tough in general. Hospitality is tough in general. You really have to have a passion for service and for care. And, the hospitality industry has gone, I would say more from a transactional relationship with guests and your other stakeholders to an emotional connection with your guests and stakeholders, which I believe is, much more difficult, but much more rewarding. So as far as moving up, it's not tough if you're passionate about it, if like any other job or hobby or whatever. But there's a lot of moving around involved. There can be some long hours, but it's all rewarding in the end, I would say.
Can you tell me a little bit about, you mentioned, it's not too hard when you're passionate about things. Can you tell me a little bit about your passion of just what kind of drives you to do it?
Yeah, well, me and you have known each other for quite some time. And so coming from Filipino backgrounds, you know how Filipinos are definitely, I would say, just innately and natural hosts and hostesses. We like to feed people. We like to care for people. And I saw that, within my parents when I was growing up. And then I always was just I just want to take care of people. I'm always, thinking about, what I can do for someone who, may not be having the best of days, and how we can, support each other and to have each other's back during those times. And also to celebrate people when they're having great days. It's a matter about, being there for each other. And I didn't know how I could, translate that into a professional career. I was about to go to school as to be a lawyer. That was my initial pathway, when I came out of high school. But, I looked at my skill set and I thought that hospitality may be a good fit for me because I wanted to be able to care for people. So that is, where I got my passion. for my upbringing as well as my personality, and what brings me joy and what intrinsically fulfills me.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome. Um, so for your specific position of what you're doing, what are some of your greatest rewards and some of your most difficult challenges that you've came across over the years?
Um, I'd say my biggest rewards, outside of making people's day. I mean, you have that chance every day to make someone's day, maybe multiple people, and that is just something that I look forward to. Currently my biggest rewards are being able to teach and to lead and to mentor aspiring managers. That's where I believe my most important role is to be there for the people that are leading others, kind of boots on the ground. I'm not out at the front desk checking people in as much anymore. I'm not up in rooms helping make beds anymore. I will do so in a heartbeat. But my job right now is to make sure that my leaders are in the best position to care for their people, who will be in the best position to care for the guests and for each other as well. As far as difficulties go, I mean, we're all in this to try to make everyone feel seen and cared for and happy during their experiences, but sometimes that's just not the case. And there's nothing you can do to make them happy. It's still frustrating, even though I have this perspective of it just may not be in the cards. It's still, in the moment, it's still just like, there's got to be something I can do, but sometimes there's just not. And, and seeing that, in my experiences, but then also seeing the people that I lead get frustrated and then, become upset about it too, that's difficult too. And you just have to be able to, be the soft place to fall for them, guide them in the right direction, offer perspective, and, hopefully, let them know that you're not going through this alone. All right. It's actually pretty nice to, kind of go through this with someone else. So I hope that at the end of the day, they'll be able to walk away and, come back fresh the next day without holding on to that.
Interesting. And it's going to lead up to the next question. The question I was wondering is just over the years, I'm pretty sure you've probably had some difficult customers or difficult guests staying in hotels just over the years.
Oh yeah.
I was just wondering and I think you alluded to it already, but I was just going to say how you deal with those customers. And do you have any specific stories or just maybe one or two stories you might be able to share?
Well, I mean, this is going to sound strange, but I look forward to those conversations with guests who have concerns or are upset, because it gives me a chance, to talk to someone as a human being. And I think that, in service jobs, we become very defensive immediately when someone says we're doing something wrong. And that's not, in my estimation, the best way to go about things. In fact, it's probably the worst, because the person that you're talking to, whatever they're going through, is big to them. It may not be big to you because you hear it 74 times a day, whether it be, oh, my hot water is not hot enough, or my AC is not cooling enough, or my bed is too lumpy, or the chicken sandwich was undercooked, or, a lot of these things that a guest goes through, we hear all the time, but they're experiencing it, in a truncated time frame. They only have a certain amount of time at our hotel, and they are paying for it, and they want to make sure it's up to their expectations. And I firmly believe that, most guests, 9.9 out of 10, are going to be able to roll with the punches when it comes to that. But, there are some guests that it's just not going to fly, and they're going to become very upset. So the way I deal with it is I sit them down and I hear them out and I acknowledge what they're saying. And I do what it takes to make it right. I'm reading a book right now called Unreasonable Hospitality by Will Guidara. And, he talks about how in the service industry, sometimes it is the inclination of the person to hear the concern and then correct the guest, whether it be, oh, this is not medium rare. Oh, you know what? This is medium rare, but I can certainly get it cooked more to your liking back in the kitchen. You're going to take care of them, but you're also teaching them a lesson. And that is not how I see things need to be done. You just need to do what's right to make them feel heard and cared for. Now, that doesn't mean that people in the service industry should go through abuse. Our office manager, his name is Michael, he told me when I was going through a tough guest interaction where the guest actually called me a racist. This was when I was a front office agent, for not doing something for him, based on who he was ethnically. He told me, you know what, that's tough. I can't tell you it's not going to happen again, but as you go through this industry, there are times when you just walk away and you let the guests know. Basically, he didn't tell me this. This is where I've learned. You let the guests know that I'm here to help you, but I can't help you if you're going to act like this or disrespect me or my staff. So, I mean, if you want to explain your concern and I can come to a resolution for you, great. If you're going to continue to act this way, this conversation's over. So I leave it up to them. Sometimes, most times, they sit down and talk with me. Well, sometimes they just walk away. And I'm like, okay, that's it. So do what's right for the guests to make them feel cared for, in those moments. But if they are abusive or if they are disrespectful to the point where you're at an impasse at this time, then you're not someone's servant and you're not someone's punching bag. You have the right to walk away. If that all makes sense.
Absolutely, absolutely. No, I like that philosophy. I'm wondering, you mentioned just a little bit ago about mentoring people.
Yeah.
When you hire people, what do you look for when you hire people to be part of your team?
In my interviews now, especially for guest-facing positions like front office hosts or bell attendants or concierge, I look for someone who can hold a conversation with me with a smile and with this energy that brings you in. I hardly talk about anything technical anymore. We can teach people technical. You can't teach empathy. You can't teach someone who is looking to connect with someone, or someone who is always listening and listens great to things that they can do to wow somebody or to make someone's day. So I usually ask them about their hobbies. I ask them like how they like to be cared for, how they care for people. I ask them about like the last great service interaction they had and why it made them feel great. I mean, in usually 20 to 25 minutes, I can determine whether or not they're going to add, a vibrance to the team that's going to just further our purpose of caring for people so they can be their best.
Fair. That's fair. What advice would you give someone who may want to start in the industry, whether they want to start just working at hotels or eventually maybe kind of doing what you're doing as a manager or above? What advice would you give them specifically?
Just be open, be open to a lot of different perspectives, and be vulnerable too. I mean, you can't be closed off in this industry. All right. You have to approach things through the lens of care with an open heart. And you have to be, especially if you're going to be, an upper level manager, you have to have the capacity to care for multiple people in multiple situations and be able to be that level-headed and calming presence. And you have to have a passion for this. Okay. That can change over the years. And I also will encourage people to make good time management habits because any service industry job, especially as a manager, can be long hours. And that's going to be the reality of it all. But you need to be able to slow down to speed up. So you need to recognize, when you're at the end of your rope, because you can't be good to anybody, especially if you're in a leadership position, if you are, if you're ragged and if you're haggard and if you can't, really be present with people. So you have to have that capacity to know, that self-awareness to know when you need to take a break and when you need to ask for help because you can't do it all yourself.
That's fair. That's fair. All right. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna play a little game of word association. So what I'll do
Okay.
is, and this is gonna be more for fun one.
Okay.
I'm gonna shoot a word or two, and then you just tell me the first thing that comes to mind.
Sure.
Now, longtime listeners know, and this is a running joke, is that one of the things that I thoroughly despise personally is pickles. And so let's
Yeah.
start off with that. Let's go with pickles. What's the first thing that comes to mind when you think of pickles?
Deli sandwich.
Okay. How about healthy food?
Spinach. It's like my go-to green.
Okay. Junk food.
Mm. Probably extra toasty Cheez-Its or pizza rolls.
Okay. Country music.
Oh man, not really a fan.
No worries, no judgment, no worries. How about rap music?
Oh, 90s. I have to go back to the 90s, like Nas and Tupac and Common and Tribe Called Quest and Outkast.
Okay. Heavy metal rock music.
Oh man, I remember first time I ever heard Metallica was with my friend Jeff Curtis, and he played me the song "Battery" by Metallica. As far as like rock music goes, I'm now more into punk rock and folk punk. So that is kind of where I lie rock music wise these days.
Okay. Disco music.
I don't know, roller skates, really bad
Okay.
suits.
Okay. Okay. A Barbie.
I need to see the movie.
Okay. No worries. How about MMA?
Boxing's better.
Okay. How about this one? WWE.
You know how I feel about the WWE, man. Okay,
All
I
right,
still
let's
watch
switch
on
that.
occasion. I still follow storylines these days. I'm not engaged as much as I used to, but I mean, I still enjoy. I mean, on Peacock, you can watch like every episode of Monday Night Raw.
Yes, you can.
Okay, I mean,
Yes, you
I
can.
remember I watched the first episode ever just a couple days ago, and I'm like, wow, the production value has certainly been upped a little bit. It's kind of nice.
I can agree with that. Okay, here's another one. How about bad hygiene?
Noticeable. I mean, in my industry, I've had to I've had to have uncomfortable conversations. Being a man addressing a woman about like makeup or hair, it's very uncomfortable. And I've learned that you have to make sure it comes from a good place. And sometimes, honestly, they were just speaking about the industry. Something may be going on in their life, and you just got to be able to dig deeper. But in a more surface level thing, bad hygiene is ew.
Yeah, I can agree with you on that one. Okay, here's another one. How about dating?
Jungle. This is
Okay,
coming from a modern bachelor.
okay. Let's see. I'll go for a few more. How about pizza?
Uh, New Haven style.
Okay. Steak.
Medium rare.
Okay. Horror movies.
I like the realistic ones. Like my favorite horror movie is The Strangers, about home invasion.
Okay. And last one I got is video games.
Currently Destiny 2.
All right. Okay. Any final words that you would like to tell our listeners?
Ah, well, in regards to hospitality, I can't stress enough that it's not just people checking in and checking out, spending money, sleeping in your rooms, and just being a number. They're not numbers anymore. They are people. And you need to be looking for the opportunities to make someone's day on a daily basis. Now, it doesn't have to be just the guests. In my role, I'm trying to make the day of the people that I lead on a daily basis, whether that be checking in with them simply, how are you doing? Something may be going on that you can help with. Stepping in to help, like a check-in or a checkout or cleaning rooms, stripping rooms, doing whatever it takes to support the staff that really make it happen. But it's fun if you really dive deep and pull from the passion for caring for people. It's fun. It's fun to surprise a kid with an embroidered baseball hat with his name on it because they're going to their first Red Sox game. It's fun. I mean, there's this one story, if you can indulge me, of a 50. It was the 50th wedding anniversary of a couple that was coming to our hotel in Bellevue, Washington, and we found out that he was an astronaut. He actually went to the moon.
Oh, wow.
So myself and our guest experience manager, we found on Etsy these matching necklaces that says "I love you to the moon and back," and we found an old picture of them too in a newspaper, and we had a cake shaped like a moon, and we just did all this stuff for them. And
wow,
and that's the stuff that's really kind of gets me going, is the fact that I have the ability to do that. And you got to take advantage. You got to jump on those opportunities. And hopefully the people that are coming up, the people that you lead will see that and they will become inspired by it, really. I mean, the book that I'm reading, it's called Unreasonable Hospitality because the guy is a perfectionist and he's unreasonable about connecting with people. He's unreasonable about his expectations of caring for people. And that is something that I can get down with. That you can be unreasonable about that because in the end, you're going to forge so many meaningful connections. May not be lasting ones, okay? I mean, but it's meaningful in the moment for the people that are in your charge that you are supposed to care for. I mean, that's kind of what hospitality is now. It's a business. We're going to make money, but I can guarantee you that, if we approach it with care and with empathy and, with that purpose, then the money will come. And plus, you'll have a lot of fun doing it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, hey, Phillip, thank you so much for taking the time to do this interview. Really appreciate it, man.
Absolutely. It's always great to talk to you. Give my love to your parents and give my love to the wife and children, okay?
Absolutely, man. Take care.
All right, you too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. And that concludes this edition of Conversations with Mr. A with Phillip Johnson, hotel manager. So what can I say is when I look at a dictionary and I see the word hospitality, and when I look at the words people person, I would see a picture of Phil. I could tell just by talking with him that he truly cares about people, the people he connects with. And yes, I've known him a long time, but just by knowing him and his personality, he really does care about the customers. So it was a pleasure to do the interview. Thank you so much, Phil, for donating some of your time to do this podcast interview. So listeners, thank you for listening. We will have more episodes coming up soon.